Hey folks, Reloading Bench again. So this press is very near and dear to me. This was my very first press back in 2010. And I did my research on why I thought it was the right press for me at the time. And I struggled with the whole single stage versus progressive. And in 2010, other than reading, I had no practical experience, so I really didn't know what I was doing. And I was still trying to balance being new, and then at what point would I outgrow this particular press and or a single stage versus a progressive, or jumping into the progressive and being overwhelmed with not really knowing what I'm doing and kind of getting turned off to reloading in the process. So I ultimately decided on this particular press, and there's a couple reasons, and I've covered them already, or some of them at least already, in the single stage press review. And the simple elegance, again with the cost trade-off, the turret, and Lee isn't the only one that makes a turret, there's lots of others, but what I liked about this particular turret is left hand, right hand. Everything associated with the ram is done with the right hand. The right hand doesn't ever have to need to leave the ram. And anything else associated with handling brass and or bullets or dealing with primers is handled with the left hand. And I liked, in all honesty, that isolation of right side, left side, and what side does what. So for me, that was a big draw. I think we've already talked about the simplicity of the primer arms, large and small, and the shell holder. We've also talked about the primer drop through the ram for spent primers. But the big difference is that turret and the ability to change dies and calibers that quickly. It's essentially that and a shell casing, and depending on a shell holder rather, and then depending on what you're doing for a primer size based on what you're shooting. But to be able to have all of your dies locked in, one turret, and to then be able to change a caliber that quickly, none of the others can do that. You're talking about great time savings, but then again, most people aren't going to load umpteen different calibers in a single session or even a long session. So again, that may not mean the same thing to different people. But I would say probably the single biggest differentiator between this press and other presses on the turret side is the ability to go single stage or index. Now, indexing is not progressive. You're not pumping out multiple rounds. So I don't care what anybody says. Yes, you can get very fast with this indexed press, 100, 150, 200. I'm not a speed demon, so I don't reload for speed. I reload for accuracy, and when I say accuracy, not match shooting, but accuracy for quality of product produced. So the ability to run this particular press manually in a single stage mode for somebody who's brand new to reloading offers what I think the best of both worlds. So you have the ability to do one single action repetitively, say decapping and resizing. Another action, and if you had the primers in here with the primer tray, you could be priming as well. Decapping, resizing, and priming. Powder charging. Bullet seating. And crimping. So the number of actions necessary to produce a bullet, a cartridge, a reloaded round, can be very, very precise with this. And what I said before in terms of the difference between a single stage O or C press or I-beam is you will have some difference here, some variance in when the cartridge actually goes into the specific die, and the pressure of that will force this to rise. You know, you're talking about less than a 1/16 of an inch, but it's consistent across every single action that you're doing. So could you load match on this particular press? I would say yes. Would I? I don't shoot match, so it's hard to answer. But the beauty to me of this particular press was the ability in such a small package to offer me all the benefits, the upside of single stage, and even better because I can have all my dies readily available, so I'm not screwing anything in and out of the physical press, whether that's a breech lock or just the 1x12 or the 7/8 by 12 threading. So that was a huge advantage. And if you do want to go a bit faster, and once you have reloading the general basics under your belt, this is all it takes to go to indexing. So now, again, back to left-handed, so I'll probably be a little goofish. Now all the activities are one particular action per up or down stroke. So you would be depriming, resizing, and priming in this particular activity. This one would have your powder measure, so you would be dropping powder on that particular set of activities. On that stroke of the ram, you would then be seating and finally crimping, pulling out the bullet, putting in a brand new casing. So again, everything is done with the right hand that's associated with the ram, and anything associated with the casing, bullet, primer is done with the left hand, and I like that. So and as a tip for those of you who do go down this path with this particular reloading press, when you want to take out the turret, you want to have your ram, some will call it down, some will call it up, in the up position closest to the turret, so that there's no stress on the little square ratchet in here, because there's a little square ratchet that actually causes the indexing, and a lot of people destroy that ratchet. It's a 25-cent ratchet, but it's a showstopper when you break it. And folks have argued why Lee went down that path. I've talked to them because I had the same question when I was going through ratchets, because I didn't know what I was doing. And their reasoning was, would you rather have a plastic ratchet at 25 cents be destroyed, or would you rather have a more expensive piece of the press at dollars or tens of dollars be destroyed? So it made sense to me, and I just stocked up on the ratchets. I found that once I bought more, I didn't break any more. Once I didn't have more, I did break more. So Murphy's Law. But I think this is an awesome press. I still use it to this day. I think it's great for multi-caliber, keeping costs down for especially low volume shooting as opposed to high volume. I think progressives are great for limited and or single caliber high volume shooting. But this Lee turret press has done wonders in my reloading career, and a favorite press. Never lets me down. So on to more. Talk to you soon.